Hi everybody, my name is Dave Tenza. I am here for a couple of special editions of Democrats Live. It's a little segment that we're doing here on Access Nashua so that we can introduce you to the candidates who are running in the Democratic primaries as well as in the general elections for state offices this fall. I'm joined the first time by, for my first interview, the brave soul today who came in first was Representative Jan Schmidt from Ward 1 here in Nashua. Jan, welcome back.
Thank you, Alderman Tenza. I appreciate it. And I'm not sure I like to be the guinea pig, but it's fine.
Yeah, I'm going to make all my mistakes with
There
you.
you
so
go. There you go. So I'll feel at home. We'll do them together.
Yeah, as long as the viewers know that they don't hold it against you,
there you go.
We'll be
it's
okay.
Your fault.
Yeah, exactly. Which is fine. I'm not running for office this time around, so.
No, you have a few years to go.
Yes. So if you could, you've run in every election, I think, either state or city for the last 5 or 6 years.
Yes, I've had 5 elections. This would be number 6.
Okay.
Let's see. Out of 5, I have won 3, and I'm absolutely positive it has to do with the fact that I knock on doors. I talk to people, and I listen to people. I think that's the important part. I think people need to know that the folks that represent them, who make laws and make decisions, big decisions, you have to be accessible. You have to know that that person is going to listen to you when you have an issue, or if you just have input.
And so all of your elections have been exclusively in Ward 1.
Oh, yes.
So as for either state representative or on the Board of Aldermen, which you also serve on now. Right. What have you learned about Ward 1 that you think is maybe unique or that you've learned that is really important to folks in Concord?
Ward 1 is a very special ward, a very special district in the state. We're very compact. We are from the airport to the river and from the highway to Hollis. And it's just a nice little set of communities that have local areas where people are friendly, they're neighbors. And it really makes a difference for folks. It's very stable. And people who come there stay there because they really enjoy it. And many of the people have really great ideas as well. I do hear from a lot of constituents. Welcomed everyone who wants to contact me. What else makes it important? Ward 1 always has the most number of voters on the list and the most highest percentage of people who come to vote, which that means we're number 1, and I think that's really stunning.
Yeah, that's great. And it's like you said, it's a compact ward, very residential areas.
Yes.
Now you're fortunate to serve both at City Hall as on the Board of Aldermen as well as in Concord representing Ward 1. Are there issues that there's overlap in between the different positions? How do you think that and if I can follow up, how do you think that your being in both chambers has helped you to better represent folks in Ward 1?
Up in Concord, you have 2 positions. One is in a committee where you make decisions on bills that are coming in based on what's good for the state, the entire state. But when you sit at Reps Hall, when you take that seat and you're ready to press yes or no for a bill that comes through, you have to think about what happens in your own community. And the last year especially, I noticed that a lot of folks who were pressing yes or no really didn't have all the information they needed about Nashua itself. What really brought that to mind was the 15% that was going to be added back to our pension organization. The biggest problem there, $50 million is not received by the state, given by the state to Nashua, that they had promised. 15% would have returned that to us, which could pay for the entire fire department. Instead, that downshifting of cost means that your property taxes and my property taxes have to go up to cover that. And so the state not listening because the people who are being sent up don't have the data, that's wrong. And so connecting the two, I'm able to talk with my fellow reps in Concord from Nashua and let them know about issues like this. They don't always listen, but it's nice to be able to talk.
Yeah, and you have that experience to be able to advocate, I think. Being at City Hall, both of us just went through our first budget cycle, so you see the tough decisions that you have to make. You know, the budget that we passed here in Nashua is, I don't want to say bare bones, but
It's very more teachers for ESL. They're desperate for this. Our community is in need of ESL teachers, and we just couldn't make it this year. We know that the fire department needs another dispatcher. We just don't have the funds for that. Every department came through. They gave us what they felt they could get by on. It's just a shame because a lot of the services that the state used to cover are forced down on us now.
I think a lot of people have the sense that in the state budget, the state is contributing to and looking after the best interests of the communities, but that's not necessarily how it's been, especially with the pension costs, because those have been the biggest increases for cities and towns.
It's the most visible to us. That's the one that really we can see that it's hurting us.
Right. And there's a whole history there that in our short 15-minute segment we don't have a chance to get into, but right, that's you're lucky. People in Ward 1 are lucky to have you, to have that interesting, unique perspective. Have you seen anything? You've already started going door to door?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
I haven't. I'm waiting for the primary to finish. September 11th will be my go date.
Okay.
And then I will spend every day, at least some time, out knocking on doors and trying to reach people. And it's so important.
And you knock on everyone's door in Ward 1.
I do. You can get a list from the party and says, go ahead and knock on these doors. But I don't represent the party. I represent the people in the ward. And letting folks know that is really important to me. We might not always agree, but you can talk to me.
Right. So, and that's another, I guess another difference between the city elections and the state elections is that city elections are nonpartisan. But that doesn't seem like that matters to you. You're going and you're listening to folks.
It's really strange. I think I could say I'm nonpartisan in any election, and I will stand up for what our district needs and what the city needs. And I think a lot of people don't realize that they're very divided by party. It isn't necessary. I have a lot of good friends who are Republicans who honor my work for them because they know that it's not partisan.
Right. Been up in Concord for 2 terms now?
2 terms.
Okay.
Yes.
And so what have you been focusing your time on up there? What committees do you serve on? What issues do you think are most important?
My committee is labor. We see a lot of issues that come through where companies need something and it's not in law. Employees need something that's not in law. We need to understand labor law and make sure that it works for everybody. That's really important for me. I've also been involved in a couple of other things, like voting rights. There have been a couple of bills that have come through that we're very glad that did not pass. They were very restrictive and unnecessary because we know with our paper ballots and our clerks are amazing. The work they do is stunning. Right. We know that we have fair elections here. And we know that there is nobody trying to game the system. But there are people who would really like to restrict who can come to vote. And we tried to stop those bills that came through. There were other bills that came through that we're glad did not make it. There were some that did that probably shouldn't. For instance, the voucher bill for schools. We have 3 schools in Ward 1. We have kids with special needs, kids who don't speak English, kids whose parents are addicted and can't care for them as well as they should. We have a lot of issues in schools, and the schools are there to help everybody. If the voucher bill had passed, money would have been taken out of our schools to pay for perhaps religious schools. Now, we have a terrific religious school in Nashua. It's a community partner. We know this. But there are other schools that do not have the same goals as Bishop Girton. They do not have the same goals to teach children to step forward into the world. And your property tax is going to pay for that does not seem right to me. As a matter of fact, it's against the Constitution of New Hampshire.
I agree with you, and on that point especially, and quite frankly, I would potentially be someone who benefits from a bill like that. But I think that we need to focus our resources in bills like that, whether it relates to private schools or any other private institution. It really takes away from.
For instance, private schools, home-educated children, those kids can come back to the public school whenever they need to. Not to enroll even. They can come back to enroll at any time they like,
Right.
but they can come back for special education, for sports, for clubs, for anything like that. So it's there for the community. When you take out a chunk of money for one child, you're not just taking out what it would cost for that teacher. It's for the building, it's for special ed, it's for gym, it's for
Activities,
everything.
sports,
And people didn't quite understand that.
Sure.
And one thing that really troubled me about that was money coming back to people who homeschooled. There were people voting, legislators voting, to give themselves a big chunk of money for the kids they kept at home. That seemed amoral. I really don't understand.
It certainly seemed like a conflict of interest, right?
Extremely.
Yeah.
Extremely.
So there are other big issues that Nashua is facing, in particular, where we get caught up in Concord. In particular, I'm thinking of the rail issue, where
Yes.
for years we've been trying to get the legislature to approve $4 million of,
Yeah.
of federal money for a
Our
study.
money coming back to the state,
Right.
which seems absolutely insane. We know it's not coming from the people. The people I talk to say, please, we need rail. It's just required. We have, all the states around us understand the issue. We seem to be behind the 8 ball. But it's not the voters up there even people who won't see their district gain anything from the rail. They understand it's good for the state. When the income from this part of the state increases the coffers for the state, they will benefit as well.
Right.
The problem is that we got it through, we passed it, we got it to the Senate, and then the governor said, we don't want this. And we know that that's not, we don't want this. It's someone told him that it would be a bad idea.
Right, and there are, unfortunately, a lot of special interest groups who
Yes.
are either politically motivated, ideologically
How can it
motivated.
be partisan to put rail through that will actually increase business here?
Increased business, and it's a quality of life issue for folks who are having to spend
Traffic
4
on the
hours.
highways, access for kids to go to school, even to find our way up to the airport. Now the airport is struggling right now, and one of the reasons is the transportation. If you could hop on a train here and go up to the airport, yes, how many people would absolutely love that? No traffic, no time between here and there. You know what it's scheduled. Would be a really brilliant thing to have.
Right. And you're talking about the airport in Manchester.
I am.
Okay, because we have an airport here in Nashua, which is it's smaller. It's
My
it's not-
word.
right, but it's a great asset for the business community
It
and
truly
the
is.
community as a
It
whole.
truly is. We've just got a new business coming in, flying cars.
Are they coming? The business coming here to Nashua?
They are indeed. They're going to do their R&D here. Isn't that exciting?
It's very exciting. It's a little scary to think about cars flying
I
overhead.
was promised that in 1950s.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's time for that to happen.
Good. Great. Well, we only have about a minute left here for this segment. If people want to get in touch with you, if you want to say a few closing words, please feel free to do so.
Thank you. Thank you. The best way to reach me is always at Tisha4@gmail. That's T-E-S-H-A, Tisha, and the number 4@gmail. That comes straight through to my phone, to my iPad, to everywhere I am. I can hear from you. And some issues are very important. I really do need to hear from people. As far as closing statement, I'd really like everyone to come out. I think that we need to retain our first in the city setting, and I think that I would really promise that I will continue to support District 28, Hillsborough, my ward, Ward 1 in Nashua.
Great. Well, Jan Schmidt, thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, no problem. And so Jan Schmidt, Ward 28, Ward 1 here in
Ward
Nashua.
1 here, yes.
Polling location is Broad Street Elementary School.
It is.
Back in,
Yeah, we are there.
Primary on September 11th. The date for the general election is November 6th.
It is. It is.
Okay. Is there still time to register to vote for the primary?
I do not know if that's been closed yet. I can find out and make sure I let you know.
Okay. Great. Jan, thank you very much for being
Thank you.
here. And we will be back in a few minutes with our next guest.